Hello and welcome to the next edition of the HP Discover podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion of IT innovation and how it's making an impact on people's lives. Our next innovation case study interview explores how Redcentric PLC in the UK has tackled a major network management project due to a business merger. We'll hear how Redcentric used advanced configuration database approaches from HP to scale some 10,000 devices across two disparate companies and manage them in a single system. To learn more about how two major networks became merged successfully, we're joined by Edward Jackson, Operational System Support Manager at Redcentric in Harrogate, UK. Welcome to BriefingsDirect, Edward.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about your company and this merger. What two companies came together and how did that prove to be a complicated matter when it comes to network management?
Yeah, the two companies together was In Technology and Redcentric, and Redcentric bought In Technology in about November this time last year, November, December. Effectively, they were reasonably disparate in terms of their setup. They had three separate organisations of Maxima, Hot Chili and then Redcentric. And the issues were effectively moving their network estate and ITSM base across onto the HP platforms in Technology. It's an ongoing process and is probably scheduled to take another 12 months for completion, but it's well on the way, and we've been pretty successful so far in doing that.
And what kind of companies are these? Tell us a little about your organization, the business rather than just the IT.
The MSP, so effectively managed service providers. We sell voice, data, storage, networks, cloud, you name it, pretty much we deliver it and sell it as part of our set of portfolio products.
So being good at IT is not just good for you internally, it's really part and parcel of your business.
Yeah, it's critical. I mean, we have to deliver it and we have to actually manage it as well. So, it's 100% critical to the business.
All right, tell us how you go about something like this, Edward. When you've got a big merger, when you've got all these different disparate devices that support networks, how do you tackle that? How do you start the process?
I think the first kind of initial phase is to effectively look at the data and see what we've got and then start to do some data cleansing. We effectively had to migrate data from 3 service desks across onto the In Technology network and onto the In Technology ITSM system. So we need to look at all the contracts, you need to look at all the actual individual components that make up those contracts, effectively all the CIs, and then look at a rather large migration project. Initially, we started to migrate the customer information and the contact information, and then slowly we started to basically reprovision devices across from the Redcentric side to the old IMS network, which was the In Technology Managed Services network, and effectively put them into our HP management platforms. So we currently manage over 10,000 devices now. And they range from multiple different types of vendors. In Technology was pretty much a Cisco shop, whereas Redcentric, we are now looking at things like Palo Altos and a lot of Brocade stuff and disparate type of vendors and different type of solutions. So everything from like session border controllers down to access points. It's been a relatively challenging kind of time in terms of being able to look at the different types of technology and then effectively be able to manage those, and also result in the fact that we have automated incidents from the operations manager tool that we use going into a service manager and effectively then notifying the customers directly that there's an issue or a potential issue on their system. So yeah, it's been a rather large piece of work.
Right. Was there anything in hindsight that you did In Technology vis-a-vis the data about your network and devices that made this easier? Did Redcentric have that same benefit of that solid database, the configuration information? What did you, in doing this, wish you had done or someone else had done better before that would have perhaps made it easier to accomplish?
Yeah, unfortunately, the data on the Redcentric side of the business wasn't quite as clean as it was on the in technology side. So effectively, it was held in lots of disparate kind of sources, from network shared drives to kind of wiki pages. So it all had to be collated together, and effectively they had another 3 service desks. So we had to take all the data out of them as well, which didn't really contain any CI information either. So we effectively had to piece together the CI information with the contacts and the customers. So it was a rather a mammoth task really, and then manually load into our CRM tool, which then has a direct connection with a web service into Service Manager, so it creates organisations and creates contacts. And then we had like a template for our CIs, which effectively, if they're a service CI, if they're a network CI, or if they're a server CI, effectively it would be built into a spreadsheet, and we'd use HP Connect It to load it into a drive on there, and it would basically automatically create the CIs against the customer and the contacts that were already loaded initially.
And is there anything now moving forward as a combined company, or in the process of becoming increasingly combined, that these due diligence efforts around network management and configuration management will allow you to do? I'm thinking perhaps if you were able to drive more services into your marketplace for your customers, or make modernization moves towards perhaps software-defined networking or other trends that are afoot. So now that you're into this, you're doing your due diligence, how does that set you up to move forward?
Yeah, it opens up a new sphere of opportunity really. I mean, we had pretty much a closed Cisco shop really, but now we've obviously opened up a lot more kind of elements and technologies that we actually actively manage. We have a lot of a software-based type of firewalls and things like that, we didn't previously have. Session border controllers, things like voice products that we didn't really deliver previously, that we can deliver now due to the fact that we've kind of opened up the network, and we can manage pretty much anything.
Any words of advice then for other organizations that may have been resisting making these moves? You were forced to do it across the board with a merger. Any advice that you would offer in terms of doing network management modernization sooner rather than later, other than the fact that people might just think good enough is good enough, or if it's not broken, don't fix it, that sort of mentality?
I think when you're looking at a challenge like this, you've basically got to make sure you do your due diligence first, and effectively it's down to planning. If you don't plan, you plan to fail kind of thing. And it's very true, so you need to get all the information, you need to make sure that you normalise it, and effectively, you sanitise it before you load it in. It's to use another cliche, it's garbage in, garbage out, so there's no point in putting bad information into a system again. So we made sure that all this was done previously, and then we can basically move forward. We've got a good set of data now across the board. I mean, we literally have 150,000 CIs in our CMDB, so it's not an insignificant CMDB by any stretch of the imagination. And we know that the data that we take from the Redcentric side of the business is now clean and accurate.
How about proving this to the business? For you guys, MSP might not be as critical. For other enterprises, it might be a bit more of a challenge to translate these technical benefits into financial or economic benefits to their leadership. Any thoughts about metrics of success that you've been able to define that would fit into a return on investment or a more of an economic model? How do you translate network management proficiency into dollars and cents or pounds or euros?
I think it's pretty difficult to quantify in a monetary sense. Probably the best way of qualifying the success of the project has been the actual level of support that the customers have effectively given and the level of satisfaction that now the customers have. They're very, very happy with the level of support that we have now. They're on our in technology systems, and I think going forward that it'll only increase the level of success that we have with customers. So it's quite difficult to qualify in terms of a monetary sense, but when churn rates are as low as 4%, you can basically say that you're doing something good. in terms of things like the CIs themselves, I mean, CI is fundamental to the business because it effectively describes the whole of the service, all the services that we offer our customers. So if that's not right, then the support that we give the customer can't be right either. So, you've got to be 100% sure and accurate that the CI is actually going to be describing the service and being able to give the guys on support that kind of information that they need to be able to support the service. And it obviously does because, the customer satisfaction is ever increasing in terms of what we offer the migrated customers.
How about feedback from your help desk, your support and remediation people? Do they find that with this data in place, with it cleansed, with it complete, that they're able to identify where problems exist, perhaps better, faster, easier, recognize whether it's a network problem or a workload support problem? The whole help desk benefit, anything to offer there?
Yeah, I mean, about 80% of the tickets raised in the organisation are raised through our management platform, so monitoring and performance capacity, that kind of thing. So we can pretty much identify, within a couple of minutes where the network error is. This all translates into, tickets being raised in our service management platform. Additionally, as well, we can, within a few minutes, have an affected customer list because we run quite a tight ship, and we have fields that are defined in Service Manager that will actually give us indication of what the devices they are attached to in terms of endpoints. So we can basically log on to a website that we developed effectively, run an affected customer report against it, and it will give you a list of customers, list of key contacts and primary contacts, and effectively you can translate that into an email address. So within a network outage of within a few minutes, we can effectively have emailed the customer, created instance, created relatives interactions to that, and the customer's then aware there's an issue.
Well, that's the sort of brand reinforcement and service quality that many organizations are seeking, so that's enviable, I'm sure. Lastly, Edward, we're here at HP Discover. Any news being generated here at the conference from HP that's of interest, products, updates? What's going to make your job even easier going forward?
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of things. One of them was Propel, which is effectively a front-end software piece that you can effectively hook into pretty much anything you really want. So if you've got a few disparate service desks, you can effectively have a veneer over the front. It will look the same to the customer. They'll have a nice shiny front end, but effectively, the technology behind it could be very different, and it gives you the ability then to hook it into anything such as operations orchestration or into service manager or knowledge management, or even smart analytics, which is another area that we were quite keen on looking at. I think that's going to revolutionise the service desk. It would be very, very beneficial for our company. So when I get back home, I'm going to see if we can actually have a look at that. In the fact that the things like the data mining that it would probably give us would be massively beneficial and help the creation of knowledge articles going forward and giving remedial action to incidents and interactions.
Well, very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been learning about how Redcentric has used advanced configuration database approaches from HP to scale thousands of devices across 2 disparate networks and create a single entity due to a merger and an acquisition. So I'd like to thank our guest. We've been joined by Edward Jackson, Operational System Support Manager at Redcentric in the UK. Thanks so much, Edward.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for joining this special new style of IT discussion. We've explored and discovered solid evidence from early enterprise adopters of how big data changes everything for IT, for businesses, for governments, and as well as for you and me. And we've seen how even in the realm of network management, big data and analytics is a huge topic. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of HP-sponsored discussions. Thanks again for listening, and come back next time.